AEW, it's a marathon, not a sprint, said WWE. After they bolted out of the blocks in their first round of the Wednesday Night Wars and nearly gave themselves a stitch. Have we found a good running pace now for NXT on USA? Let's find out together. This is NXT Graded. We kick off with the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. First time I think we've had it officially called that in a match. God love you, 205 Live. It's Lio Rush challenging Drew Gulak for the belt, and this starts hot and heavy as Gulak flies out of the corner with a drop kick. Rush misses it, and I think within 60 seconds of the match starting, we see two massive dives from Lio Rush. The story of this match tells itself. It is high-flying innovativeness taking on grounding, submission-based innovativeness. Rush is getting loads of momentum in the early stages of the match, and Gulak immediately cuts him off. When Rush goes to the top rope, Gulak drop kicks him out of the ring, and he crashes into a load of WWE runners on the outside of the ring, which is quite a nice way to cut to a commercial break. Clever, that. This match twists and turns. We see Lio Rush go for the come-up, which is that bottom rope springboard stunner he does. I love that. As he does it, Gulak grabs him into the Gulak. We think, okay, that's it. That was a good opening match. No. Rush spins it round into a dragon sleeper. Gulak spins that round again, hits him with the cyclone crash. Jeepers, this is a phenomenal opening match. The crowd are really into it as well. Massive love for Lio Rush from Full Sail University. Some big love for Gulak as well. Gulak goes for a superplex, but Rush manages to fight him off and pushes Gulak to the ground, hits a splash off the top rope, finally nails the come up, and then gets back up top for the final hour frog splash on what would have been Eddie Guerrero's birthday. Nice. 1, 2, 3, and Lio Rush is your brand new NXT Cruiserweight Champion. What a heck of an opening match that was. William Regal comes out to put the belt around Lio Rush's waist, since it's now an NXT belt. That is now part of Regal's admin. As he comes out to put the belt on, Drew Gulak gets back into the ring. It looks like he's going to mix it up with Regal or Lio Rush, and he ends up just handing the belt to Rush, a passing of the torch, as it were, and leaves the ring. Very respectful way to end the match, and a really nice way to kick off a new era for the Cruiserweight Championship. Now it's under the umbrella of NXT. This gets an A from me. This was a cracking way to open the show. Lio Rush and Drew Gulak just meshed so well together, and I love the idea of Lio Rush being the guy that is going to lead this new dawning for the Cruiserweight Championship as part of NXT. We get a hype package for Finn Balor. We actually get two of these throughout the night, showing us all the great stuff he did as part of NXT, shows stuff about his call-up to Raw as well, his success as a main card guy, and his return now to NXT. Really making it feel like this is the guy that was a superstar here. He went away, became a megastar somewhere else, and now he is back home. Excited to see Finn Balor in an NXT ring again within weeks, surely. Rhea Ripley versus Aliyah is next, and this don't last too long, to be perfectly honest. Rhea Ripley makes very short work of Aliyah. The big move of this match is Rhea Ripley locking in a figure four on Aliyah's legs, but with her hands. So she picks her up, and he's got her in a figure four position, and he's just swinging her around, drops her on her face, and Aliyah taps out to this sort of standing hooked fisherman's four. Great move that just showed not just the strength, but the sheer viciousness of Rhea Ripley. Once the match is done, she gets on the microphone and throws down the threat to Shayna Baszler. She is coming for the NXT Women's Championship. Giving this one a B, it was short, but it was impressively brutal, if only for just that move, that figure four arm move thing, swinging Aliyah around like a rag doll. That was cool. More of that. We hear the sound of drills. We see caution cones on the screen. We see two ladies in high-vis and hard hats. I genuinely think at this point we're getting a heavy machinery crossplay. But no, they are bringing out Breezango, who are now apparently men at work. I like this. This is good fun. I don't know whether there's a thing now where they're just going to chop and change gimmicks. You have to excuse me if I've missed a meeting somewhere. Beth Phoenix spends the entire of their entrance making double entendres about having her pipes cleaned by Breezango. Oh dear. Edge is going to be livid. The fun stops when Jackson Ryker makes his way out and he's dragging Matt Martell and Chase Parker, the opponents for Breezango tonight, out towards the ring. And he's got one of them over his shoulder. He's dragging one around by the arm. And this brings out the other members of the Forgotten Sons. So I guess it's now Breezango versus the Forgotten Sons. That's how it works. This was cool though. Just a nice change on the whole, they got beaten up backstage shtick by having Jackson Ryker just dragging these limp, prone bodies out to the ring. Made him look brutal. Some good tandem moves by Cutler and Blake, but this is a fairly standard tag team affair. You know, it's slow and steady and pretty I think this feels a bit like a crowd cooler, this one, with the greatest respect to everybody involved. Some good tag team offense from the Forgotten Sons. Breezango take a bit of a beating in this match, and it ends with a double foot stomp, reverse DDT combo move by Forgotten Sons for the 1, 2, 3. This one gets a C+ from me. It was fine. I liked the way the match started. I liked the way that Forgotten Sons got into the match. The match itself was okay. It wasn't terrible. It was there. We get hype for Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic next. Low-key, one of the best feuds in NXT right now. Keith Lee says that next week Dominik Dijakovic will bask in his glory. You know what? I could just listen to Keith Lee talk forever. Like, that man has an amazing, like, low, caramelly voice. Why has he not got a podcast? Seriously, every wrestler on the planet now has a podcast. Why hasn't Keith Lee got a podcast? With that velvety voice, I'd listen every day. I'd go to sleep listening to Keith Lee's podcast. Anyway, Keith Lee and Dijakovic kicking the bejesus out of each other next week. Boa versus Cameron Grimes is up next. Boa gets a lovely reaction from the crowd, and he's not out there long enough to really enjoy it. Cameron Grimes comes out as the two men about to size off in the match. Cameron Grimes goes, "Oh, look over there. Who's that walking down the ramp?" Boa turns around, eats the cave in, that double stomp from Grimes, 1, 2, 3. But as the pin is going down, we actually see there was somebody making their way down the ramp. Cameron Grimes was correct, and it was Killian Dane. As soon as the 3 count happens, Killian Dane rolls into the ring, Cameron Grimes gets out of there, and Boa just takes a beating from Killian Dane at this point. Big Vader bomb off the ropes. Gets thrown onto the announce table around the side as well, and Dane warns us that this is only the beginning. Nightmarish things ahead from Killian Dane. Giving this whole segment a C. The match was really nothing. There wasn't a match. It was all about just getting Killian Dane over as a monster. So they achieved that. That's fine. Boa got a lovely reaction. I don't want to go away from this without acknowledging the fact that Boa got some love. Can we see more of Boa? Thanks. Damian Priest promo, he gets out of a posh car. Somebody's doing all right on the old NXT gazonga. He talks about how he wants to become the Archer of Infamy and he wants to set his sights on Pete Dunne. He took his shot and now he wants to become famous in NXT. We see shots of Damian Priest on a really posh night out, basically. He's in a limo at one point, he's going into a club, he's drinking champagne, he's hanging out with naughty ladies, he's getting a kebab at the end of the night. That bit didn't happen, I made it up. But we're getting a little impression of what Damian Priest, the former Punishment Martinez, is all about in NXT, and it was cool. Roderick Strong in non-title action against Isaiah Swerve Scott next, and wow, this shocked me. Wasn't expecting something like as competitive as this. Swerve is great. Swerve is great in the breakout tournament, but I wasn't expecting these two to tear it down the way they did. Swerve really got one over on Roderick Strong throughout a lot of this match. Some really innovative offense from Swerve throughout this. And do you know what really put over Swerve in this match was when the Undisputed Era made their way out to the ring to cheer on Roderick Strong. Like, they realised back there, in storyline world, they realised back there that, oh, Roddy's struggling here, let's go out and just Let's make sure this goes the right way. Some great combos from Swerve. We see a big German suplex that immediately is followed by a flatliner, by a double foot stomp to the outside where Roddy's got to lay on the apron and he hits a double foot stomp that goes all the way down to the ring. Swerve is ruling this match. Throws Roddy back into the ring, and as he's getting back into the ring, Undisputed Era start to walk towards the ring. Swerve sees this and he's like, hey, back off you guys. That moment of distraction is all Roderick Strong needed to rally. Boom, end of Heartbreak backbreaker, and War locks in the stronghold, the Lion Tamer, and gets the tap out on Isaiah Swerve Scott. An amazing showing by Swerve. The Undisputed Era get into the ring at this point. They're hot dogging, they're grandstanding, talking about how brilliant they are. This brings out Velveteen Dream. We think he's backstage. He's on the big screen. Lights go out, lights come back on, and there he is on the balcony of the back of Full Sail, bathed in purple. His music playing behind him again. Still not sold on that aspect of it. But he's talking to Roderick Strong, and he says that in 2 weeks' time, he's going to get his shot at the North American Championship, and he wants to introduce Roddy to his reality. He pulls up on the screen that picture that Roderick Strong shared on social media a little while ago of himself in the All Together, naked as the day he was born, covered by the North American Championship. And Velveteen Dream says he wants to show you what it's going to look like after they face each other. Snaps his fingers, and then the next image is the same, but the belt is photoshopped out, and there is a teeny tiny amount of pixels covering the modesty of Roderick Strong. Basically, he's got a tiny stronghold. That's what this bit is telling us. They're shocked and appalled and angered as Roderick Strong is about to say, no, it's much bigger than that, you naughty boy. Out comes Tommaso Ciampa. Ciampa gets into the ring. He's got his trusty camouflage crutch and a steel chair. The Undisputed Era, they go, this ain't the night. They leave the ring. Ciampa stands in the center of the ring. He puts the chair down, sits into the chair, stares straight down at the Undisputed Era and says, hey Goldie, Daddy's home. Oh, that's all you needed to say. Crowd chanting Daddy's home. We're getting Ciampa and Cole down the line. This whole segment, from the opening bell of the match to Daddy's home, gets an A. This is a brilliant way to establish some big momentum, not just for Swerve, who isn't an afterthought in this. He was phenomenal. But to give us matches that we're building to. And this was the big issue with last week's show, where it felt like a very self-enclosed NXT TakeOver special. This week, we've really set that right, and we are building blocks now towards bigger things. And this did all of that. I loved it. This gets an A. Big old A. Big old A. During the break, Tommaso Ciampa is approached by Angel Garza, who talks a load of trash to him, but doesn't talk a lot of trash because Ciampa knocks his lights out before he can continue. We find out later on in the night that Ciampa's first match back is going to be against Angel Garza, coming up very, very soon. So that's a nice way to bring back Ciampa, just to get the wheels turning on the in-ring career of Tommaso again. Tommaso and Garza will be fun. Dakota Kai is back. The captain of Team Kick takes on the EST of NXT, Bianca Belair, in our next match. Bianca Belair is very much positioned as one to beat in the women's division, and she's very much painted like that here. Dakota Kai really takes the fight to Belair throughout this one. She's the Team Kick captain, so everything is kicks. Every kind of kick you can imagine, you could probably buy from Dakota Kai's big kicking shop. This was quite a brutal affair. It just felt like the Bianca Belair kept managing to shut down Dakota Kai's comebacks until near the end, where Kai just goes crazy with kicks from every part of the ring and outside the ring as well. She does a great scissor kick as Belair is hanging off the apron, gets back into the ring, drops her with an axe kick, a haluva kick, the big face wash running kick that she does. Only gets a 2 count from that one, goes for 1 kick too many, and Belair manages to pick her up, hoist her on her shoulders, and nail her with the KOD for the 1, 2, 3. Big win for Belair. She gets on the microphone afterwards and addresses Rhea Ripley, saying that if Rhea Ripley wants a shot at Shayna Baszler, she has to go through the EST. Future match between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. I'm down for that. Giving this a B-. This was a bit of a sleeper match for me. I didn't think this would go the distance. I didn't think we would see much from this, but these two really meshed very well together. So a B-. Nicely done. Welcome back to Kota Kai as well. And Tegan Nox is on NXT next week as well. So Team Kick are both up and running again. And if you haven't seen Team Kick do what they do, you're in for a treat. I genuinely think Team Kick is an NXT tag team that you could put the WWE Women's Tag Team belts on down the road. We hear from Dominik Dijakovic about next week's rubber match between him and Keith Lee. Dominik knows his strengths, he knows his weaknesses, and this match is everything. This match is important. This match is... Oh, I just want to hear Keith Lee talk again. No disrespect to Dominik Dijakovic, who sounds lovely, but I just keep thinking about Keith Lee's voice. I want to hear him talk all day. But they're having a rubber match next week and they're going to batter each other. Promo package time again, and it's Pete Dunne in the Performance Center talking about being attacked last week by Damian Priest. He says he understands why, because he wants Damian Priest wants to make an impact, and he's doing it at the expense of Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne says, and I like this line a lot, Pete Dunne says, Damian Priest calls himself the Archer of Infamy. Well, how is he going to fire a bow and arrow with broken fingers? Pete Dunne and Damian Priest confirmed for next week. Should be a cracker. Main event o'clock on NXT, and it's Walter, the WWE United Kingdom champion, taking on Kushida. Both men undefeated, and to quote Mauro Ranallo, 1-0 has got to go. Kushida starts out wrestling Walter, he starts out maneuvering Walter, ends up sending Walter to the outside of the ring by dropping the rope. Walter keeps trying to get back in the ring, and Kushida keeps nailing him with drop kicks at every single side, and you just see Walter get more and more frustrated. Like, this is what I love about Walter is he's such a menace in the ring, but there's an element of him that just feels very beatable. And I think that's kind of important. Not completely beatable, you know, he's not a pushover, but there's an element where you think every time he's in the ring, like, oh God, maybe this guy can do it. Kushida at one point went for a springboard, but lost his footing completely, and Walter nailed him with a big boot. And this is Walter just taking control of this match from this point on. Kushida tries to rally with a sunset flip powerbomb to outside of the ring, but he can't muscle Walter over, and Walter ends up just stamping on Kushida's face. Brutal. They do have a beer this match on the apron, actually, going back and forth. Walter looking for chops on the outside of the apron. He manages to swing for Kushida, but Kushida ducks it. The momentum carries Walter, and he sends him crashing into the ring post. As Walter is reeling, we see a rolling DDT from Kushida to the outside of the ring that just brings the crowd back to their feet. These two are having a cracker. Kushida manages to get the hoverboard lock in, but Walter manages to push out of it, locks in a sleeper hold that looks like it's going to wear out Kushida. Somehow, Kushida manages to find a way out of that, but shortly afterwards, eats a German suplex and a pump handle suplex by Walter. Walter goes up to the top rope. It looks like he's going to go for a splash, but Kushida quickly meets him up there, kicks him down, and then flies off the top rope with Walter and locks in the hoverboard lock as he hits the ground. So like it's like in midair he's applying the hoverboard lock. They're like suspended in the air for what feels like ages. This was incredible. However, Walter manages to just about make it to the ropes with his foot, so the hold is broken. Walter rallies, and he manages to chop down Kushida, drops him with a powerbomb, but only gets to 2. And everybody is in awe that Kushida's kicked out of Walter's powerbomb. Irate, Walter pulls up Kushida, grabs him by the arm, and hits him with a Rainmaker Lariat for the 1, 2, 3, almost immediately after. This felt eerily similar to the way that Walter and Tyler Bate ended, when Walter just kind of went to the final move in his war chest, which is this big lariat. I think it's been treated as a move that Walter only pulls out when he absolutely has to. And he did it with Kushida, and it immediately got a 3. Walter remains undefeated in NXT. Giving this one a big old A, Kushida and Walter just mesh so well together. And the fact that Walter had to go to his, in case of emergency, break glass move, it made Kushida look like a star in defeat as well. I'm giving NXT an A again this week. I thought the one thing that was missing from last week's show was that feeling of forward momentum. And this week, we're very much at a pace that WWE can keep. with NXT, where we're building stuff as we're going forward, and we're still keeping that high level of quality matches in there as well. Big old A for NXT this week. Thanks for watching. I love you. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.